Good afternoon. I couldn't be with you at that Knife Crime Summit today, so I thought I'd take the use of new technology to make an intervention. You can pass it around to people who are there or not, I don't really mind. I wanted to look at this issue of youth violence within our communities. And Black Socks, which is a social movement, which starts from the premise that we don't want any government money. We don't believe we need government money to solve the violence in our communities. What we need is a public health-led approach that is funded by corporate, private sector. After all, they have businesses in our communities and need to contribute by donations from our communities. We ain't as poor as some people would like to make out to be, and we can certainly afford to begin to fund some of this stuff ourselves, and indeed working with the authorities to make sure this public health prevention approach actually gets to the root of the problem. We've had thousands of failed initiatives. Boris Johnson, for the last 8 years, has announced summits, czars, 100 black men to mentor 100 black boys, none of which has made a single dent on the incidence of violence. Far from it, what we've seen is an increase in the level of that violence. So summits are all very well, but it's what is the political perspective that is informing the understanding of the issue itself. That's very complex. We've had hundreds of white organisations who've been commissioned by the government, the Met, the former mayor's office, to, like in an expedition safari, come into our communities and try and save us. Kids Company is the most notorious example, but there have been many others. And then we have a number of black people whose perspective is one of a dysfunctional black community. And that chimes well with some views of white funding statutory organisations who think that our problem of violence is because we are fundamentally or psychologically damaged or bad in some way. We're not. We've got 55% black youth unemployment with rising black male and black women's unemployment. We've got a crisis bigger than some economic crisis bigger than some European countries. So it's not that we're dysfunctional, it's that we're immersed in poverty. That is the reason we see this explosion in violence. And we've had a metropolitan police service that has been absolutely abysmal. It spent its time racially profiling, harassing black people. And where it has got involved in trying to solve gang crimes, it's used that information to ruthlessly arm active informer criminals who are then hired by the Met to go out, commit crime and report back to them. The whole thing is in a mess. And when you add to this and overlay it with the lack of police accountability, no more police consultative groups, we have no more access to getting the issues of concern in local areas like Lambeth and Brixton on the table for agenda, no more public meetings about the roughhouse and racist tactics of the Met taking place. So all in all, a Knife Summit is a great thing, and of course, one would be churlish to say anything but welcome it. But it has to be foregrounded by the historical catalogue and narrative of failure that has so far failed to do one thing, and that is to invest in those communities that can lead. And sometimes it's not all about money. Sometimes it's about platform and opportunity. Why don't you give us, black communities that is, the opportunities to be able to develop and lead a public health initiative that would start at kindergarten and would deal with children from birth unto the grave in order that we can find solutions to this problem. Because the experience of the United States is precisely that, community-led public health. But you can't choose the communities and they can't be those communities who agree with you. There has to be a much more sophisticated, nuanced approach. And there has to be a paradigm shift away from the thought that statutory authorities can intervene to make things better. They can't. They must empower communities, and those communities will solve the problem on their own terms, on their own agenda. And from our side, we have to stop rocking up at town halls seeking grants to solve the problem of youth crime. It's not working. It hasn't worked. And if they gave you £1 million tomorrow, it still wouldn't work. We have got to take the lead. These are our children, and if we are not sufficiently caring for our children to put our own hands in our own pockets rather than seeking grants from people who've got no real understanding and really don't care about our community. Then we deserve everything we get. So we can fund our own initiatives. It's got to be community-led and a public health conference. I hope you enjoyed the conference down there at the Knife Summit. Check out www.blacksocks.com for more of this kind of thinking. We do have a legacy ball at the end of this year, 3rd of December, which we're inviting people to take tables in order that we can raise money so we can fund our own initiatives. My name is Jasper. It's been great talking to you. Have a great summit. Bye.